Hello friends, Jermaine here and welcome to the fourth video of the Angel Dart framework series. So in the last video, what we did was we added the ability to preview an article that we saved, as well as adding validation to our form data. In this video, we will add the ability to edit as well as delete an article. Let's begin. I'll come back to our editor and we'll go to our article template. And in here, I'm going to add a separator. And then after the separator, we'll add another column, and then we'll add a paragraph. And in this paragraph, we'll have a link. And this link will go to the post endpoint. And this post endpoint will have the article slug followed by a /edit. And the link text will just say edit this article. Okay, and let's preview this in the browser. And we have this button here. And let's fix the alignment by moving this upwards inside the row. So I'll save that. I'll try again. Yeah, that's much better. So at this point, we need to create this endpoint because it doesn't exist yet. So come to our routes, and then let's add a new route. So this route will be the same as that, but then it's got /edit. And here we need to render our edit form. So we'll render the same article form here as such. So if I save this and let's test it out, I click on this and then it brings us here and it set the right slug, the URL. And here we see this form again. So now we need to just pre-populate this form with our details from the database. We'll retrieve our handle to the article service again, and then we'll call the find_one method, which takes in a map, and then we'll use a special key called query. And then what we're going to do is we're going to query the database where the slug matches the slug key from our request parameters, kind of like this basically. And then from that we can use our article serializer to create an article object which gets passed in here. So I'll create an editing key and I'll set it to true, and then pass in the article that's been edited. So I'll save this, and then I will come to our article form template. In fact, before I do that, let's check. In fact, let's just check in the browser first. So I'll come to articles, select one, I hit edit, and then we can see our fields have been populated. So that's working. So next, let's just add a notification so that we know that we're making an edit. So I'll probably just have a title here saying currently editing and then the name of it. So let's do that now. And we can do that over here. So we'll say, we'll have a heading 1. Then this will show up if we are making edits. And then we'll say currently editing. Then we'll have quotes and then string interpolation about the article's title. So if I come here and I reload, yeah, it should say currently editing and the name of the article. So then at this point we should be able to make edits and then hit submit, but then we do not want to submit at this point yet, which is because, well, let me hit submit, let's see what happens. So I hit submit, it says successfully created here and then view article. So what happens is that it actually creates a new article. So let me come to the database and check, and we see this new article added here. But then if we look at the first key, you see we've got 2 articles now added with the same slug, and that's because our form is posting to the /new endpoint. So in order to fix that, we just need to get rid of this. And what that does is that the browser will automatically send a post request to whatever the URL is in the address bar. When we make our change, a post request will be sent here. But then if I'm at the add new endpoint and I submit, a post request will be sent here. So the browser will dynamically set the action for us. And let's add our post endpoint. And in here, we are going to pass the request body, and then we'll retrieve our article service as well as our serialized article. And then we will amend the updated key because we're making an update. And then we'll just say datetime.now And here we are going to create a variable called updated article, which will contain the result of updating our article. So this update function requires an ID from our article. So we'll say article.id, and then our data would be article converted to JSON, which means that now we are able to render the article form, and we'll set another key called edited to true, then the article we edited. And I'll get rid of this. Let's check this out in the browser. I'll just say updated. Now hit submit. Okay, so we get 400 bad requests. I realized there's something we need to do, which is actually have a defined ID, because if you look in the request body, there was no ID field. So what we need to do is in our edit, we need to persist the ID that gets sent from the database. So I'll put a breakpoint here. I'll show you what I mean. So if I come back here, then I open the debug console and then I type article.id. We see that it contains the ID assigned to the document in the database. So what that means is that in our article form, we can use a hidden input field, and then we'll name this field ID, and the value will contain the article's ID. So let's save that. See this hidden field? So I'll zoom in a little bit. There we go. And then that's the ID from our database. Okay, so what that means now is if I do updated here and I hit submit, then it's gone through. Because should we come to our articles now, we see that it's been updated. So the next thing we'll do is add an alert message if it's been updated successfully. So I'm going to duplicate that and I'll say successfully updated, and we'll say view updated article. And here we'll say if, I believe we called the key edited, and let's just check our routes. Yeah, we called it edited. Okay, let's test this out again, and let's say updated again. I hit submit. There we go, successfully updated the updated article, and then we can click to visit the updated article. If this is empty and we hit submit, it still goes through because we need to replicate our validation here as well. I go into routes, and then I'll essentially be replicating what I have here. I can grab this. I can probably just create a function and then replicate it, but I'll leave that challenge to you. Yeah, everything should remain intact. Really, we'll move this bit to the else block, and then we'll cut this bit. Then we'll say template data add all. We'll pass in our map object, and here pass in our template data to our article form. Let's test it out. So if I empty this and I hit submit, I've got an error. It says string is not a subtype of type date time. I need to grab the ID and then pass that in here too. This publish date field requires a date time string. So here we'll just say if it's not empty, then we want to do a datetime.pass our publish date. And in fact, let's do the same over here as well. For post new endpoint, we'll pass the publish date as well. So let's save this and test it out. So if I lose that, I hit submit, it says please enter a valid title. If I update it, it should go through, should be able to view our updated article. If I get rid of the slug, please enter a valid slug. If I ditch the date, of course it will throw an error. So let's bring this back, and then that should be it. And if I come here our first post has been updated. For any routes that do not exist, so from here, for instance, it just shows a blank screen. So what we can do is Angel allows us to define a fallback response. So if none of the routes matches any of these definitions, we can essentially fall back, which means we can take the request object and the response object and throw essentially an Angel HTTP exception, and then we'll use not found. So I'll save that. So essentially we are throwing a 404 if none of the routes matched the request. So let's test this out. So if I access this again, there we go, 404 not found. Of course, we can configure our error message. So if we hover over this, it takes in a message. So I can pass in a custom message that route doesn't exist, and I'll use a double quote because of this single quote. If I save this, then I come back here, it says that route doesn't exist. We need to implement the capability to delete an article. Let's begin that by coming to our article.jl template, and in here we are going to add a button that will trigger a delete operation. So rather than just rendering a button, in fact we need a form, and I'll use one of the Bootstrap classes, and then the action will be set to our edit endpoint. So I'll just copy the href and place that here. The method will also be post, because HTML forms only support the get and the post HTTP verbs. So you can't use the other verbs. There's a way around it, which I will show you in a bit. We'll set the encryption type to multipart form data. And let me just bring this class back. So in this form, we will have a hidden input. The name of this will be our ID, and then the value will be set to our article ID, because in order to delete our post from the database, we need a reference to the ID. Okay, and then we will have a button of type submit. We'll give it a couple of Bootstrap classes, and then we'll say delete this article. Okay, I'll save this and let's preview it in the browser. So I'll select a post, and then we have our delete button. So I'm not going to attempt to click the button to delete it because it's not going to work. If we return to our routes and we look at our edit handler operation, we need a way to differentiate between an edit operation taking place and a deletion. The way we can do that is we have a hidden input element with the article ID. In fact, there's one of two ways we can do this. So the first way is we'll create another input of type hidden, and then the name of this input will be called _method, and then the value of this method will be set to delete. So what that means now, if I save this, is that we can return to our routes file, and in here we are able to read that method from our request body map object. Okay, so let's retrieve a reference to our method field from the form. So after we've passed the request body, we can create a variable called method override, and then we can check our request body for the _method field. And then next, we will also capture a reference to our article service. So in fact, I'll move this up here, and I'll format it a bit. What we can do is, if method override is a string and method override is equal to delete, for instance, then we'll make a call to our database and then we'll delete that article. So we can do await article service, and then we want to remove based on the ID. So how do we get the ID? We can do request body as map and retrieve the ID. That should remove it. And once we've removed it as well, we want to redirect to the home page. And after that, we just want to return. We don't want to execute this bit because we're just performing a delete operation. So if I save this, and then let's test it out. Come back here, I reload the page, And if I hit delete, this article, I believe, is deleted. Yeah, it says this is my second post. Let's try that again. So this is my second post. I hit delete, third post, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's enhance this a bit more. So if I come back to our article .jl file, what we can do in fact here as well is, instead of adding a hidden input, we can also take these values, so the name and the value attribute, and we can apply that to the button element, to the submit button. Now, why is that? Because submit buttons are also form controls. They're also HTML form controls, which means that they can accept a name attribute and a value attribute. So let's save this and test it out. I'll come back here, I'll reload, hit, this is my fourth post. Let's inspect this button to make sure that it's, yeah, so we got the name, we got the value on the button. So that means if I hit delete, it should delete it. Yeah, so deleted it, and then now it's redirected us here. Okay, so now let's replicate this for our article form template. So I'm going to copy this bit, I'm going to copy all of that, and then I will go to the article form .jl template, and then I'll scroll down, and next to this submit button, I'll place this button here. So I'll save that. Let's give that a shot. So I'll go to edit, and then we see this delete, this article button, and when I hit delete, it deletes it. So I'll do that again with my sixth post. Hit delete, delete, then it's gone. Let's just style this a bit so it looks nicer in the UI. So I'll just give this a margin right to the submit button, and then I'll just get rid of this class. So if I save that and I click edit, then it looks like this. So this looks much better, I think. So if I hit delete, then it'll delete it again. What happens when we click to add a new article? Well, we see that the delete article button pops up there, which we don't want. So let's go back here, and in our article form, we want to show this button only if the editing key is set to true. So if we come back to the browser and I reload, we don't see the delete button. But then if I go here to edit, now we see the delete button. This is good. Although the delete works, I think it will be helpful to at least show some kind of confirmation before we delete, because at the moment, once you delete, it just deletes. It doesn't allow you to confirm whether you wish to delete it or not. Let's add a confirmation dialog. So it's as simple as adding an on-click attribute, and in here we just want to return a confirm pop-up, and this confirm will just ask if the user is sure. So let me bring that here. So the way that works is the confirm dialog will pop up. When you click yes, then this expression would return true, which would go ahead and continue with the delete operation. If we click no, then it will return false. That means nothing happens. So let's go back to the browser. Let's reload. And if I hit delete, you get this pop-up, are you sure? If I cancel, nothing happens. If I delete, are you sure? And I click OK, then it goes ahead and it deletes it. Okay, so let's copy this also to our article template. So after all of that, I'll place that here. So now we should be able to do that here as well. Cancel, are you sure? Then OK. So we see at this point that all articles are deleted, and it just shows a blank on the home. So why don't we just show a message saying no articles added, for instance, where there are no articles added. So let's go do that now. I will go to my articles template over here, and then before we render this section, let's have another column, and we're going to display this only if the length of articles is exactly 0. That means no articles have been added. And if that's the case, then we'll render a paragraph, and it'll just say no articles added. And then we can have an anchor tag linking to the /new page, and then it will just say add new. So let's save this and let's go back here and let's reload. And then there we go, no articles added. Then we can proceed to add a new article. So let's add our first post and let's submit that. And if I come to the home page, default message is missing, and now we see our first article. And then everything else is pretty much the same. And that brings me to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, do share on your social media channels. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon so that you're updated when the new videos are released. If you've got any questions, let me know down in the comments below. Thank you.